Welcome to the Early Years Spark podcast. I'm Tati Bueno, and this is my friend
Konstantina Moustaka.
And this is our very first episode. We're here. We're doing this.
Yay!
And what are we talking about today?
Shall we talk about the 7 areas of development?
Why is it relevant now?
It's what we call the early years foundation stage.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives the standards for learning and development in early years. So I think it's really important to just let everyone know what it is, what are we looking for, what can we see in our daily practice, and what parents can also see at home.
When you say early years foundation stage, like what is it? Is it like a document? What is it based on?
It outlines the standards for learning and development. Apart from the statutory framework that everyone is reading and using, it's also 2 different things that were made lately. And it's the development matters and it's the best of 5 matters.
Mm-hmm. And who does that? Who wrote that? Who decides that?
Yeah, so the best of 5 matters was created actually by early years professionals for early years professionals. So it's something that was created for everyone to use, and the things that were put in there was from everyone's input about what they had experienced, let's say, in their profession. Mm-hmm. The development matters as well was people, again, who have great knowledge and depth in this area, and then they just put down things that we needed to know and things that are very important for early years.
So this statutory framework is something that the government has decided. So it's an offset document that regulates all learning and education in the country, right?
Yeah, it's the official one that everyone needs to go and take things from. Mm-hmm. And then the other 2 are like supplementary, I would say. And then they give practitioners like a tool to just have an idea of what we need to be looking for. Mm-hmm. Of course, we need to discuss what is in there, and it's very important, which is the uniqueness of the child. So we need to see that every child is unique, every child develops in their own way. Mm-hmm. So it actually includes steps, but it doesn't mean that these steps are going to happen at the same time, on the same pace. It's going to be different for every child. Mm-hmm. And it's for the practitioners and parents to just tune in with the child's rhythm of development.
So it is important because it gives us a guideline to what look for.
Exactly.
Also, not just to what look for on the stage that the child is, but also where to support the child in their development, right?
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And it also mentions about how important having positive relationships alongside that uniqueness of the child are like. At home, it's of course the parents and the family, and then in the nursery or in a childminder, it is those people that are with the child all the time and they spend time with them. It's the key workers. It's actually those people that create these relationships with the children and are with them all the time.
And the relationships are obviously super important because that's how the child will feel great, secure attachments and then be able to flourish and develop as much as they can in that environment as well.
Exactly. And to me is that creating that feeling of being safe, which for me is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
If the children feel safe, then they can excel, they can be curious, they can observe, they can get involved in the things that they are doing, they can learn so much.
And they can be free to be whoever they are, and they will be secure and they understand that they are loved for who they are.
Exactly.
And they have the freedom to explore and try other things as they discover their own selves, right?
Exactly, and as they go along. Yes, of course.
And then what are the 7 areas that we have?
So we have what we call prime areas. And it's personal, social and emotional development, of course, communication and language, and physical development. And then we have 4 specific areas, which are literacy, mathematics, understanding the world, and expressive arts and design. And however, like the child learns and the way that it chooses to learn, these areas are often interconnected. So you will observe mostly one thing, but then the others are also there.
Which is what we call a holistic learning and a holistic development.
Yes, it's part of
because
this.
even though you're trying to achieve a goal in a certain area, the other areas are all happening at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's all connected, exactly.
Yeah.
It's all connected. Because, for example, when you playing, let's say, and you have friends around, you try to share, which is part of the personal, social, and emotional development. But also, if you use language to say, can I please have
A turn.
a turn or have this, then it includes communication and language. And if what you're sharing is, let's say, something in a messy tray, that involves, let's say, quantity or filling and emptying, that language might be linked also to mathematics and mathematical language. And you might say, oh, can I have this tube because I want to put the sand in it and see how much I can put in there. So that's the language that you're using. So you also have some physical development going on because you are moving around, or you're like moving your hand muscles to explore the quantity. And it's what we said, all the areas in one thing, or many areas, let's say, in one thing.
Yeah, and then why do we have prime areas and specific areas? Why they're not just all areas?
Because for me, personally, those prime areas are the ones that are the super, super important for learning to happen. And these are the priority. Mostly now, like, we know how communication and language is so important for children's development later on in life as well. When they go to school, when they will start making friends, or learning different things at school, and being in the community. So everything is related to the communication and language. But also they need to feel that safety, they need to make relationships, they need to have this sense of self, as we say, and they also need to explore their feelings and emotions. So that's what is included in the personal, social, and emotional development. Because it's the beginning of everything. Those first 5 years are the beginning of everything. It's the beginning of making friends. It's the beginning of exploring your feelings and your boundaries, and exploring how much can I do, where can I go with my feelings and emotions, and how can I try to start regulating how I feel.
In my perspective, the prime areas is because it's pretty much what makes us humans, and what defines us as a person as well. Because you need to understand who you are and who you are in an environment. So that's related to personal, social, and emotional development. So you need to be in contact and understand your emotions. So then to be able to communicate that, and what kind of communication are you going to use, and how the language develops as well. Because that's necessary, like, of course, who you are, because every person communicates in a different way.
Yeah.
And builds language in a different way as well. And then the physical development, because everybody is a unique body, and you need to understand, and you need to really inhabit your body, and that's what we need to teach the children from birth, pretty much, really.
Yeah.
So in my experience, that's how I see the prime areas, because it's kind of what defines who you are. So then you can acquire knowledge from the specific areas.
True. And also it's I don't want to say prerequisite, but it's the starting point for the other
everything.
areas.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have a communication and language, it's very hard to start with literacy, with writing, with but also if you don't have the physical development, the muscle
you won't be able to sit down and write and draw and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that kind of worries me in interactions with parents sometimes is how focused they can be in what are the children talking. Oh, my child can say XYZ, or my child can count numbers and knows this, and all this impressive adult knowledge, let's say, that the children have, but they lack in social skills, in regulating their own emotions and understanding themselves separately from their main carers, like be a father, a mother, or grandmother, or whatever it is. But to me, it's more worrying that the child can't do those things than it is impressive that they know that. So it's okay. So I think that's when we try to explain the prime areas are what we focus on from 0 to 3, because they need to have that to then acquire the knowledge, right?
Yeah, and I think if we need to think from a parent perspective, and to be fair, parents are like so busy, and they have this rhythm of life that they are also like so focused in the school, which is very important because it's the education of their child. So they want to prepare them as better as they can for that big step. Yeah, that big step. So that's what we want them to realize, how important those 3 prime areas are for all the rest to happen. And sometimes, yes, they might think and start the other way around. But if you explain it to them, if you make it clear that how important that is, then you can see it in their eyes. Oh yeah, I know what it is. That's what you mean. Yes, I can see it. I can see it in my everyday life at home. Yes, he's struggling with that, or yes, he's doing that, or she's doing that, or is what my child does when they get frustrated, or that's what my child does when they are having fun and they're having a good time. It's just for us to make them aware.
Yeah, because
make them realize how important it is.
Yeah, because not before learning about this, for professional reasons, I had no idea what the areas where I was also impressed with a child that can count to 10 when they're 1.5 years old. But then now understanding that's not the most important thing. Exactly. It's not that they know the count. They don't know the numbers. They just know words in a sequence. So let's give them a quick overview of what each area is, right?
Yes.
So we have the prime areas: personal, social, and emotional development. What is that all about?
Yeah, and we said briefly that it's about making relationships, making friends, preparing for that social part of life. Then, of course, it's having this sense of self that I am okay with myself. I know my abilities. I am strong enough to deal with situations. And then it's, of course, about the emotions, everything about the feelings. So it's for us and parents to give them that language of emotions, recognize how they feel first, and then say, yes, I can see it. You're angry. I can see it. You're happy. I can see it. You're sad.
And accommodate, because every feeling is valid, not just
Definitely.
Trying to deflect and, we need to feel positive feelings all the time, right?
Validation, yes, needs to come first, and then everything else.
Yeah.
So that, I would say, is personal, social, and emotional development. And then moving on to communication and language, which again is really, really important, is all about, of course, listening to others, to sounds in the environment, starting from there, and then moving on to
the attention.
Yes, listening, and then to attention, of course. So paying attention to what the other one is saying, but and concentrating on what the other person is saying. Focus your attention.
Well, and I just want to highlight how important it is to just give children time to focus on things, because often we can see people frustrated because my child can focus on anything more than 2 seconds, but then when they're trying to focus, the adults in the room are just interrupting all the time. So we're not helping the children to develop their attention span. So just give the children time to focus. It's very important to have to develop that attention, right?
Yeah. And we also need to think about what is it that makes them not focus. What is it? Is it the environment they are in? Is it like disruptions in the environment or anything? Is it like something that they're not interested in and that's why they don't care, let's say, or they're not paying as much attention?
It could be something physical, like they sometimes their tummy is hurting or ears hurt,
or like basic
like that.
needs. They might be hungry or
Yeah.
they really need to sleep. They are exhausted. So we just need to always have these observant eyes and see what is it that might be.
Yeah.
And to be fair, sometimes when you're a busy parent, it's not easy, is it?
No.
It's not easy at all. You don't have the time to just focus on that and just observe that. You're just in a rush or anything. So it's for parents as well to first try to regulate how they feel
at
the moment.
Absolutely.
And take like a deep breath or like count a little bit before they start exploring, because it is this transition that they need to first think about what they are doing and then see what is happening in the environment and what is it that affects the child.
Yeah, I learned once that the process is that, especially with younger children, because my specialty is younger children, so they will listen and they take a few seconds for the brain to register what they heard, to interpret what they heard, to understand the question or the command or whatever it is, to then a few more seconds for the brain to react to that.
Of course, it's how the brain works, yes.
Yeah, so but in our busy lives, we're just so used to just want an answer instantly from a child that they haven't even time to process that. So we just need to take a breath and slow down things as well.
Exactly. And then it's speaking. It's like how we're gonna turn our thoughts into words and how the children are gonna expand their vocabulary. What are we giving them? What opportunities we give them as well in life, so that they can explore and they can get that vocabulary and expand from them. And then
physical development.
Physical development is also everything about their health and their self-care. Yeah, exactly, how they take care of themselves, like basic things like brushing their teeth, like
getting dressed,
eating, like, and realizing why they need to eat, why they need some sleep,
and understand to listen to their bodies.
Exactly.
So that's a big thing for us in nurseries.
And the way to do it is to just talk to them about
it. What's happening to your body right now?
Yes, and just explaining it to them so that we turn it into words, and then it makes more sense for them. Let's say, oh, that is why I need to sleep. That is why I need a break. That is why I need to just stop from running around so much, because I cannot even breathe. So
or like when I'm going to the toilet, or when they're hungry, like I can feel it in my tummy. Is empty, so I need that feeling is hunger.
Exactly.
So I'm hungry, so I need food to fill it up and to feel better as well.
And it's just it's
understanding,
just,
right?
Yeah, and then having all this physical development is also about like how you develop your muscles, you move, how you explore the outdoors, which is really important in that sense, but also inside. Like we need to think of ways that children can also move inside.
Because children are meant to be moving all the time. There's no such thing as a child. It's a good child. I hate that. Because they're sitting and nice and quiet. No, a child is meant to be running around and moving and exploring, building their body muscles, right?
Exactly.
One of the things that I learned from you, even at the nursery, is for the little ones, because my group is about between 1 and 2 years old, we don't have the chairs for them to do the activities. They only sit for circle time on the floor, on the carpet, and for meals at the table on chairs.
Yeah, short circle time.
Short circle time. Short circle time, definitely. But then because they need to be standing up, because they need to build the core muscles and the arm muscles to do the movements.
Exactly.
Because that's what's going to give them the ability to, in the future, in a few years, sit at the table to do some writing, for example, or to do some reading for themselves. So all that is part of the physical development, not just the pinch your fingers. not just the fine motor skills and things like that.
Yeah,
Body
absolutely.
training and all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's why these primaries are prime. That's why.
Exactly.
That's why they're so important. Yes, and that's why we focus so much on that during the early years. Of course, we do things related to the specific areas as well.
Yes, of course. But then, like you said, comes naturally, and within trying to support their prime areas, we use the specific areas, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then we come to literacy, and then of course it starts with us as practitioners reading to the children and with the children, and then the same at
Which
home.
there's a big difference, right?
Yeah.
Reading to a child, reading at a child, and reading with a child, right?
Yes, exactly. We need to do all three of them for me.
Yes.
It's they are all important, so you need to do it all at once, let's
Yeah.
say. And the same for parents at home. Reading is so important.
Yeah.
Just like as a routine, like before bedtime, or any moment in
during
the day.
during
For a
short
little
meal
bit.
times, like while they wait for you to put the breakfast on the table. Sit down with a book. Give them a book to hold, even for the babies. That's really important, right?
Yes,
'Cause
definitely.
That's what's going to help them building the communication and language in the future, and just talking to them, right? Like building conversations, like not using baby talk, but talking them like you're talking to an adult.
Because Tati,
Because
I think
they will build it.
some parents also, or some people in general, like they think that because they are so young,
They won't get it.
Yeah, they cannot read. So
What's the point?
what is the point of them holding a book? Just hold a book. But there is a big point, because that's the power of the image. That's where the power of the image comes in. They look at the pictures and they can make their own stories. It doesn't have to be the same thing that is in the book. They can explore their imagination, and then that's another important bit that they can have and they need to have.
Because it's the whole thing about books anyway.
Yeah.
Because you're reading something, but then your mind is taking you somewhere else.
Exactly.
So then but that's what the child does as well. Like they're looking at images and they're creating their own story. And even though sometimes you're trying to tell a story, they're making their own story, and that's what we want, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, in adults, it's exactly the opposite. Like you read a book, you read the words, there are no pictures in the book, but you are making the pictures in your mind. So
Absolutely.
Again, it's about imagination, but in the opposite way.
The opposite way, yeah.
So we are making the images, they are making the words and the scenarios, let's say, in their heads. And that's why we say, like, you don't have to sit down and necessarily read what is there in the book. Of course you can read the story.
But you can make up your own story as well.
Yeah. Or just discuss about what you can
What they're
see
seeing, yeah.
in the book. Just discuss about the pictures and say, oh, look, this is what I can see. And what do you think he's doing? And like ask those questions that can bring more and more discussion. And then that's where the development of communication and language comes in. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the writing is part of literacy, but then it looks very different for the different ages, right? So for my age group, we're talking about mark making, because they can write.
Yeah.
So any drawing, anything that makes marks, that's what we're aiming with them, because they'll start to recognize patterns and symbols and all that, right?
Exactly. It's the first exploration of writing, let's say, the first trials to write something, to make a mark, as you said. And it starts in different ways. Like it starts from what we call a scribble, but it's their mark.
Yeah.
And then they will progressively start telling you what is it and what it means. And you, like, sometimes we tend to guess, oh, did you make a parrot, let's say?
And they go, no, like how did you see a parrot in there?
Yes.
No, it's clearly a whale.
Yeah, exactly. So it's better to ask, I wonder if you made a parrot, or I wonder what you made. Can you tell me what you made? And then they will start saying, oh, I made this because this is this, and then that one goes there, and you can see this one flies up. When, of course, they have the language.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And that's why, as you said, it's so important to include mark making. And even at home, you can do it all the time. It's
Absolutely.
like the little activities that parents can do with their children that involves making marks.
Play-Doh is one of my favorite things for younger children.
Oh yeah.
To make marks on, because they don't need many tools. They can just go for it. And there's always something that they're creating, and
but it's also
Play-Doh's amazing for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Play-Doh's amazing for everything. Like mostly also about the muscles that we said, the finger muscles and the pre-writing thing. Play-Doh is amazing, isn't it? And so easy to make even at home.
10 seconds.
Yeah, very easy.
Yeah. And then we cover literacy. We're moving on to expressive arts and design. Yes,
so we go straight to the last one. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't follow the order.
It doesn't have to have an order, to be fair. But yes, it's expressive arts and design. Everything about being imaginative, role playing, engaging into becoming somewhere else, and getting into a different person's role. It's also about creating things, as you said, in a more expressive way. It can be creating things with like things that you have for recycling. It can be anything that is creative and artistic, let's say. And for the children, they like their imagination.
It's everything, right?
Flies. So they can make such amazing things and being expressive. And it's also about like music and sounds and singing and the first nursery rhymes. That's why they're so important. Even from like
artistic
when they're babies and the parents are just singing to them a nursery rhyme. It's so important because they get into that habit of listening to music and listening to the words and music is magic, to be fair, with the children.
And then, of course, dancing is a big part because moving because they express themselves with their body, and then it goes back to what I was saying about inhabiting really and owning their body so they can express themselves and understanding how their body moves. And then we tie it with physical development.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all about that.
Yeah.
And then we have
understanding the world.
Understanding the world, yes, which is actually anything related to technology and how they're using technology these days.
It's a good thing to note that technology doesn't mean screens, right?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily,
Not necessarily, yeah.
Because anything like zippers are technology, buttons are technology.
Anything that those cars that you just pull and then they go, or like I remember we have those musical boxes when we were young, didn't we?
Yeah.
And you just needed to twist until the ballerinas start dancing, and they're still out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all those things that we think are not technology, but they are.
But they are technology. Yeah.
And just to get them to know also the history of technology, like where we started, what we used back then, and how different it is from today.
Yeah.
And like a trip to the charity shop can teach
Definitely
you so much about that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because you can find like an old phone and say, we'll have a long discussion with your child about what used to be and how we used to use that.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say about understanding the world. And also, of course, that's how they will make sense of the world they're living. Like what...
the world around them, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So what the park is, what a playground is, what a garden is, what a living room or the classroom, the toilet, and understanding what these different environments around them are, right? And
exactly. Have a sense of their immediate environment, as you said, starting from home, starting from the nursery, but then moving on to the community and what is around.
The people around
the shops,
them.
Yes, and all the people that are included doing different jobs and how these people can help us in our everyday life. And all the aspects of the environment, as you said. This is it, yeah. So that's also very important, yeah.
Amazing. Anything else? No. So I think that's a really good overview. Yeah. Sorry. I think that's a really good overview of what the primaries are, and then when you're going to a nursery, if you're new parents going to a nursery and they're talking, oh, we have the planning for all the areas, and you're like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, what areas?
Or when you go to the parents' evening, and then there's the report with all the areas of development, and you're like, well, how are they assessing this? What are the parameters? So this is it, right? So it's just,
this is it.
it's not that we're measuring the child where
In any
they
way,
should be, like, oh, this is the aim and the goal. It's just like, this is what we need to be working on and supporting them generally. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so it's just to have an idea. And of course, everything is out there for, like, if they want to delve into more information and look into it more, it's all out there. Like Birth to 5.
Birth to 5 is free to download. Yes.
The same with Development Matters, and like, so I can always like have a look and see what is there.
The Birth to 5 is really an easy read. It's very as accessible for anyone like to read. I think it's simpler, not simpler like in a bad way, but in a positive way, more accessible to.
And it has like lots of information about play, lots of information about transitions, like lots of information that you just need. Like it's good to know, let's say, for children, and then it gives you also the areas and the developmental bit about it. Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that covers everything then. Thank you so much for listening.
We can discuss like for hours and hours about this.
Absolutely.
And then I think maybe in our like future podcasts we will also
dive into each
one
area.
More, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and lots of subjects that we're gonna talk about are gonna come out from these 7 areas.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna then link it to that, so you will all have an idea, hopefully, of what it is now. And then when we say, let's say, we mention something about literacy, you will then know what we're talking about. Know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, thank you.
And
hope to see you.
Yes, soon. Follow us in all platforms at Early Years Spark. And see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.